There are many names for methandialoxane methamphetamine, such as Ecstasy, Atom, E, Roll, X, XTC, Hug, Beans, or the Love Drug. They all come in the form of a small pill and are swallowed. Ecstasy is classified as a stimulant because it artificially stimulates the cells. It is synthetically produced by a complicated scientific formula, so is not usually produced in an average person's home. It is created by a combination of chemicals, chemical reactions, distillation, and crystallization. The pills are in various colors and usually have pictures or brand logos on them. The chemical in ecstasy is called MDMA. MDMA was first created as an appetite suppressant in 1912. The euphoric feeling created by the drug distracts the hunger and other physical needs. It was then discarded until the early 1950s when the Army decided to use it as a truth serum. Ecstasy loosens the decision-making part of the brain, allowing even the toughest people to open up and tell what's on their mind. For the same reasons, psychologists began using ecstasy for therapy to get the patients to open up more easily. It was still a legal drug when it was being sold in clubs and bars in the 1980s. Partiers liked the euphoric and carefree feeling they got from the drug. It wasn't until 1985 that scientists directly connected deaths and medical problems to the drug. It was immediately banned and illegalized by the DEA. Even with ecstasy being illegal and extremely dangerous, the number of users throughout the world are still rapidly rising. The drug takes 20 to 40 minutes to get to its full effect and can last up to 3 to 5 hours. Ecstasy creates a feeling of euphoria and happiness. Most feel a deep feeling of self-acceptance and acceptance with everything and everyone around them. Feelings and senses are intensified to an absurd degree where everything seen or done is passionate and stimulated. All senses are enhanced. The user's physical energy is increased, so a lot of the time this drug is taken at clubs. People dance and have more energy to have fun. This effect results in more dancing and less consideration for the negative effects, such as dehydration, which could result in nausea and faintness. Most drug dealers add other chemicals into the small MDA pills to cause more or less of a high. Users never know, or for a cheaper production. These additional chemicals cause some of these symptoms as well, so not all can be fully credited to MDMA or ecstasy. When the user begins to come down from their high caused by ecstasy, they begin to realize that they are really thirsty because while they are on the drug, they didn't notice. They then start to drink a lot of water, which overhydrates them and creates hemodilution, which is when the blood becomes overhydrated and the water dilutes the blood in the bloodstream. This is extremely unhealthy and even more dangerous than dehydration. After the drug wears off, most feel depressed and disappointed in their reality compared to the reality created by ecstasy. When off the drug, users feel lethargic, insecure, irritable, nauseated, and paranoid, and even sometimes have hallucinations. Neurotoxicity is in play while ecstasy is being used. High levels of dopamine and serotonin are depleted and reduced due to the unorthodox neurotransmission taking place in the brain. Tachycardia, or the increase of heart rate, takes place because of the overstimulation of the nervous system. Hyperthermia, or the increase of body heat, occurs due to the increased heart rate and increased physical energy. In severe cases in which the user has been using ecstasy for a long period of time, blood clots can occur because of how quickly the blood flows through the veins. Rhabdomyolysis, or the wasting away of skeletal muscle, is probable while taking ecstasy, because the muscles cannot get the circulation they need when using so much energy. Kidney failure is very possible because this organ metabolizes the drug and breaks it down. The harsh chemicals damage the kidney tissue, and this causes bad metabolization. Ecstasy has a low tolerance level, so it is easy for your body to become immune and consequently encourages the user to take higher doses in order to get that satisfactory high. Though ecstasy is not addictive, it is very easy and likely that the user will become dependent of the drug. Psychological withdrawals and needs for the drug, for most people, keep them taking the drug, and if not, it makes it extremely difficult to stop. The life and social effects of the drug can be very disastrous. Most ecstasy users, while off the drug, go through severe depression. Liz O'Brien wrote an article on Salon.com after just a few days off ecstasy. I stayed home from work. I spent most of the next few days in bed, crying nearly non-stop. I refused to answer the phone. I felt that I couldn't communicate to anyone the depth of my sadness, so why try? I sensed that my thoughts were irrational. I instinctively understood that the desperation I felt came from a chemical imbalance in my brain, but that awareness did nothing to ease my distress. This extreme depression leads to not wanting to do anything and not caring about anything. Some users might stop going to work, or stop going to school, or stop trying to communicate with others. Some even stop eating, which leads to anorexia and other eating disorders. There are many dangers of ecstasy, and the only way to avert them all is to not take it. Some people see ecstasy as a way to have fun, but what's really going on in your brain when you're getting that high? Naturally, the chemical serotonin is taken up by the reuptake pumps, or the serotonin receptors, after they have finished stimulating the cells. They are then released when they are needed in the cell again. The drug ecstasy mimics serotonin and is received by the serotonin receptors. The receptors are then in a state of confusion and release the serotonin, which is uncalled for by the body. The ecstasy disallows the serotonin from coming back into the membrane, causing serotonin to keep stimulating and creates an overstimulation of the cell. The interference in the neurotransmission takes place in the amygdala, hippocampus, basal ganglia, the neocortex, and the hypothalamus. All of these areas function with memory, so while on the drug, memory impairment is a sure effect. The limbic system is also affected. This area controls pleasure and happiness. The artificial stimulation in this area stimulates the euphoric sensation. Continued use of ecstasy eventually causes the cells that produce serotonin permanent harm. This effect results in damage to functions in the brain such as the regulation of mood, appetite, feeling physical pain, and the abilities to learn and remember. Ecstasy users take the drug because they know it'll make them feel good and happy for the time being. And even though there's so much going on in their brain that will affect their life forever, they're not educated and don't know what's happening. The best way to spread awareness is to educate people, so then they'll know more about what's going on in their brain, and it will give them more motivation